Hey machine knitters! One of the best parts about owning a knitting machine is that we can make a sweater pretty quickly. So I thought I would take you along and show you how I start designing a sweater. We should probably decide what gauge machine we're going to use. The yarn is going to determine which machine you use. I have some worsted weight yarn and I have some thin yarn. I got a lot of this coned yarn when I bought my standard machine. It just came with it. It was part of the whole package deal. And a lot of it, it's not written sport, worsted, fingering, etc. So I have to decide how thick I think my yarn is, and that just comes with time. Over time, you will learn this yarn is thick and this yarn is thin, and I need to use my standard gauge, I need to use my bulky machine, and you'll just get comfortable with that over time, and you'll get comfortable with what tension you should start your dial at when you're making a swatch as well. But for now, we can just play around and see what works. So I just finished my sweater, and you can get the pattern on sale until Wednesday. But my son thinks that since I finished my sweater, I must be able to make him a sweater now. So I'm going to take you along and show you a little bit of my process of how I begin designing a sweater. As with all of my patterns, they are written to work with any machine and any yarn. You get to make a sweater for anyone using any yarn and any machine. The pattern is set up as a spreadsheet so that you just put in your gauge and your measurements and it determines the pattern for you. My son asked me today, "Hey mom, can you knit me a sweater?" So he wants a camo sweater. Okay, so I told him to go get his favorite shirt, whatever one fits him best, and I'm going to use the measurements from that shirt to make him a sweater. So I thought I'd take you guys along with me. So what I'm going to do is, this is his favorite shirt. So I'm just going to lay this out flat and I'm going to take some measurements. So I'm going to measure across the chest. Looks like we have 16 inches. I'm kind of going from seam to seam. And then I want to know from the bottom to the underarm. So I'm not looking to be exact here. I'm not going to like the 1/8 of the 16th of an inch. I'm just looking for a whole inch or half inch, maybe quarter. Then I want to measure from the shoulder to the underarm. Now this is actually a slanted shoulder, so I will do that. So we'll go 6.5 there, and from the collar to the underarm, I would say is like 1.5 inches. So there's a good 1.5 inch decrease. So I'm just going to go from the underarm. We'll say that's 14.5. So this shirt happens to be a set-in sleeve. I'm not really concerned about that because I'm just not going to do a set-in sleeve. But I am going to measure, this neck drop is about 2.5 inches total. The back neck drop is probably 3/4 of an inch. And the front neck drop we'll say is 2.5 inches. And like for this has what, like a 1/2 inch? Yeah, a 1/2 inch collar. I would probably do at least 1 inch of ribbing. Notice he did not bring me a sweater, but he brought me a regular shirt. But that's okay because I'm just taking some quick measurements. This is going to be a drop sleeve sweater. I just did a pattern for a set-in sleeve sweater, so I want this one to be a drop sleeve. And I'm going to do the slanted shoulder because I think that looks good. So now I'm going to take this to my computer and I'm going to come up with some quick measurements for like how many stitches I have to cast on and how long I want it and stuff. And then I'm actually going to make my swatch. I have to get this sweater off of my machine though, because I think the only camo yarn I have is needs to be knit on a standard gauge machine. That's pretty thin. Here's a worsted weight, that camo yarn. Kind of compare. So this looks like plenty to do a sweater with, especially for a child. So I'm going to go ahead and get that on my machine and make a swatch so it can rest. So be sure to give your knitting machine some love this week.